Austen Lane here for ESPN 690 radio, giving my 3 observations from this Jaguars game right after the game here. Pretty exciting finish. Props to Josh Lambo for nailing that game-winning field goal. Nicely done. My 3 takeaways. You can take a lot out of this game. Let's start with the bad first, and let's finish with the good. I think the one thing that stands out, obviously, is the Jaguars' defense, where weren't really able to get home, sack the quarterback at all. I felt like when they did get pressure, it was manufactured by blitzes again. We've been talking about this the whole time, where when they just rush their base, they're not really hitting home that much. And you saw Trey Herndon getting picked on a lot this game. Listen, say what you want about Jalen Ramsey, whether he's a distraction, obviously he wants to be traded and all this stuff, but there's no debate where the Jaguars are a lot better when he's in the game as opposed to when he's on the sidelines. Now, people can argue, was the back injury real? I feel like he wouldn't have left the birth of his child, traveled to Denver, stand on the sidelines, and not play in the game unless his back was really hurting him. And keep in mind, if he's really trying to get traded, you have to ask yourself, does it affect his trade stock at all? If he does have these back injuries, because a lot of people know, whether you're a professional football player or not, back issues they can stay with you for a while. And so from that perspective, this isn't a situation where I felt like, he wanted to be out. I mean, this is a guy that's never missed a game before. This is a guy who was cheering on the sidelines, was emotionally invested in this game, wanted to see his teammates do well. So all things considered, I think Jalen Ramsey's back was really hurt, but the most important thing was the fact that they really missed him out there, and we talked about this during the week. Trey Herndon has played well in spots, when he's been called upon, like in Houston. But today, whether it was Emmanuel Sanders or Cortland Sutton, who's more that big receiver, he's like 6'4", while Trey Herndon's around 5'10", 5'11". So, they kind of picked on Herndon a little more. I thought A.J. Boyd played a heck of a game. And for the most part, I thought the Jaguars did okay stopping the run. They were off to a rough start after that second series, that screen to Noah Fant, and I get it. There were some linemen that were, past the line of scrimmage, downfield. Definitely should have been a penalty. This is not like college where even if it's behind the line, you can get away with that. No, that should have been a penalty for sure. But at the same time, you have to use your pursuit angles a little better if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive line. Noah Fant's a 4-5 flat kind of guy. So he is a game wrecker. So when he gets the ball in his hand, you have to take your proper pursuit angles and make the tackle from there. But overall, let's be honest. I mean, the defense did what they had to do for the most part. Obviously, they gave up some long passes. They gave up that touchdown towards the end. Thankfully, the Jaguars offense kind of bailed them out. But all things considered, I think going forward now, we got to remember, hopefully Jalen Ramsey can play again. And that's going to be the guy to watch. And I get it. If you want to trade him away, so be it. But if I'm Doug Marrone, if I'm Dave Caldwell, I know my jobs are on the line this year. I'm going to try to plug and play Jalen Ramsey as much as I can because he gives my team the best opportunity to win football games. My second takeaway, Leonard Fournette. Say what you want about him. The guy had 220-something yards rushing. Absolutely dominated today. Ran with bad intentions the entire game. It's weird because we talk about the offensive line not being able to run block at all and being good in pass protection. Well, they kind of flipped the script this game, and pass protection was an issue, which we'll get into later. But as far as pounding the rock, the Jaguars did a fantastic job. When you can pound the rock, you can dictate the outcome, you can control the clock, keep the other offense off the field like they did. And I thought it was really telling. When the Jaguars went into the locker room, they were down 17-6. I think they lost a lot of momentum. John DeFilippo comes out and pounds the rock. When they're down 17-6 and they keep pounding the rock. They had a 10-minute drive to score a touchdown to set that up, and a lot of that has to do with running the ball. So props to John DeFilippo for not abandoning the run, for not hitting the panic button. I thought once again, and listen, I've been saying it the entire season, I think John DeFilippo calls some great games, and he did that again today. Granted that the offensive line, especially in pass protection, didn't play up to their best abilities, but still I thought the game script was great, mixing run and pass. I would have liked to see them implement maybe a little more of chipping, Von Miller, chipping Chubb, because I talked about it on the show too, where Vic Fangio and his defense, he's a stubborn dude, and he's always gonna rush his base. He barely ever blitzes. So if you're the Jaguars offensive line, you should have known what was coming the entire time, and that was just a good dose of Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, and they didn't do anything crazy. They just rushed them straight up, and the Jaguars struggled. I think penalties were a factor. Cam Robinson had a couple, Drawn Taylor had a couple, obviously giving up the sacks, especially for our tackles, was a big deal as well. And that leads me to my third point, talking about the offensive line, Gardner Minshew. I can sit here and say, okay, yeah, he went 19 for 33, 2 touchdowns. Scratch all that. Throw the stats, throw the numbers out, because what you have to look at is what he was able to do the second half. Now, let's go back. I think the Denver defense had 5 or 6 sacks. They were in Gardner Minshew's grill the entire time. And when that happens, especially early in the game, sometimes a quarterback's mental clock, it can go off a little early, right? Where if he gets sacked a couple times, well, now he gets kind of gun shy. He wants to get rid of the ball as soon as possible. Minshew didn't do that. Minshew kept on embracing the contact. He kept standing in the pocket. We talk about the moxie. We talk about, just the audacity, the leadership that he brings. And guess what? Minshew brought it again. He's obviously my biggest takeaway. He's probably any Jaguars fan's biggest takeaway of today is the fact that, his ability to stay in the pocket, to not turn the ball over. And we saw it 2 times in one drive where the pocket was closing. The troops were swarming on him. He holds the ball and he tries to make a play. He doesn't go down. He doesn't flinch. He keeps trying to find the open man, and he found it twice. 1 for a first down and then 1 for a touchdown to Armstead, I believe. So from that perspective, Gardner Minshew, you can't say enough about this guy and how special he really is. And obviously to lead that game-winning field goal at the end, especially after taking a vicious shot, it seemed like his ribs were jacked up a little bit. He had some problems breathing, but he just got back up again, man. You cannot say enough about Gardner Minshew. And what a special guy that the Jaguars got from that standpoint. It's going to be another week of Minshew mania, as it should be, and hopefully this train can keep on rolling, because it's like I talked about on the show as well. It reminds me a lot of Ryan Fitzpatrick last year, when Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of had all the swag about him. He comes up wearing these Russian track suits and he's rocking the shades and the gold chains. He's got that Ivy League education, but when he started losing, the momentum stopped and nobody gave a crap about, Fitz magic anymore. But with Minshew, man, if you can keep on winning games, if the Jaguars can keep on winning games, it is a team effort after all. If the Jaguars can keep on winning games, Minshew mania is going to be in full effect for a long, long time. So those are my 3 takeaways. Check us out tomorrow as we break it down even more, celebrate the victory. Congratulations to all the Jaguars fans out there. Celebrate tonight, and all the Jaguars fans in Denver. Just be safe, man. All right. Take it easy. Stay casual.